Newbert, can you actually just get out of my way so that I can play the game like I'm supposed to? Like, I can't do that while you're here standing in front of me. Okay, what do you even want, Newbert? Wait. Your journey will be tough. You should take me with you. What do you mean by that, Newbert? Oh, wait a minute. What is this? Newbert Companion. $2.99 per month? Let Newbert join you on your journey. I didn't know you were some crazy salesperson, Newbert. I am not taking your offer. Okay, how does that make you feel? Oh my god, no, stop showing me the subscription. I do not want to be I do not want you as my companion. Okay, stop showing me this. Okay, well, it looks like Newbert isn't going to move unless I buy his subscription. So fine, Newbert. I will pay for your companion subscription. Let's just click this and oh, he's gone. Oh wait, why am I moving so weird? Wait. Wait, what the heck? Newbert, what are you doing, bro? Wait, is this what you mean by companion? Just being attached to my back like this? Bro, this is more of an inconvenience. Why did I even buy that? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just gonna reset my character. I do not want you to be on my back throughout this entire journey. Wait, no! No, he's stuck with me, bro. Damn it. I paid $2.99 for this, really? I paid $3 for this, really? This is gonna go on until my subscription period ends. Oh, this sucks. You know what? I'm not playing this game anymore. Okay, well, Newbert, you can take my money. I don't care anymore. Alright, let's think about this for a minute. This video is going to be about subscriptions, which allows developers to earn Robux through monthly purchases inside of their own game. So in the past, we've worked with other methods of earning Robux, one of them being game passes and the other one being developer products. Now, to summarize the difference between them, a game pass is a one-time purchase, but a dev product is a product that you can buy as many times as you'd like, whenever you'd like. So now in this episode, I'm going to be teaching you about subscriptions, which is another method of earning Robux. And to basically demonstrate how a subscription works, I have this VIP door right here. So I want you to imagine that there's a VIP lounge through this door that you can't access because you did not buy the VIP door subscription. So if I were to prompt this VIP door subscription, it's going to look something like this. So it's going to give you a price for every month that you have to pay in order to keep this subscription. So in this case, it's $2.99 a month. So once I buy this subscription, then it's going to unlock the VIP door so I can go inside the VIP lounge. And this is going to go on for every single month as long as I keep paying how much the price is every single month. But if I decide to cancel my subscription and the subscription period ends, then it's going to lock the VIP door again because our subscription period ended and we're not paying for the subscription anymore. So this is what makes a subscription different from a Game Pass and a developer product. And so I'm going to be teaching you how to implement this inside of Roblox Studio. So with that being said, let's now go ahead and go straight into implementing. Now that we understand it, let's implement subscriptions inside Roblox Studio. But before we can add subscriptions in our game, we need to make sure that our game is published. So I want you to go to File and then hit Publish to Roblox. And once you've done that, then I'm going to meet you at the Roblox Creator Hub. So I'll see you there in just a little bit. Alright, so I'm here in the Roblox Creator Hub, and we're going to go to the game that we just published, which in this case, this is the game that I'm using right now. So if we click on this, then there should be a tab on the left side called Subscriptions under the Monetization tab. So if we go over here, then it should show all the subscriptions that we have inside of the game. Just ignore these three down here. But in order to create a subscription, we need to press this button that says Create a Subscription right here, and it should show a bunch of information that we need to give before we can start adding one, like uploading an image in this case. So I'm just gonna pick some random image, doesn't really matter too much. And let's say for our first subscription, let's try and recreate that VIP door from the start of this episode. So I'm just gonna call this VIP Lounge, just like this. And there's going to be a subscription period which is locked to monthly, and that's because this is the only subscription period option we have right now. So whenever a user buys the subscription, then it's going to charge them every single month after that as long as they have their subscription active. Next thing we have is price. So the prices, I believe, are local to wherever you currently live right now. But for me, it's USD. So the base price is $2.99 and then it can go all the way up to $14.99. So in this case, let's say we choose $2.99. Then it's going to show on the right side that the subscriber has to pay $2.99 But then the developer earns Robux in return. And that's actually important to note here, is that the developer earns Robux if the user buys your subscription with real currency. Let's also add a description by saying this gives you access to the VIP lounge. And then finally, we have product type here. So there's 3 options to put here. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter what you put here because I haven't found any use to determine the product type inside of your scripts, at least from what I've experimented. So to explain what durable is, it's basically a permanent benefit that you get inside of your game as long as your subscription is still active. So the VIP door in this case is a durable subscription. So next thing we have is consumable, which is temporary or limited, which is basically like a potion or like a piece of food where it's like a player is given this product, but then once they use it, they can't like use it anymore, if that makes sense. And then currency. Now currency, I believe you just get currency at the start of your subscription and then you get it every single month afterwards as like a fixed amount. Like let's say you get 1,000 coins at the start of every single subscription period. That's basically what this is. So let's do durable as our VIP lounge subscription, and then we're gonna hit create subscription. So once we do this, then we should have the subscription be created inside of our subscriptions tab, just like this. Okay, so our VIP lounge subscription should be right here. Now, there's 2 important things we need to do. First thing is we need to make sure that our subscription is active before we can start purchasing it. So what I'm going to do is hit the 3 dots right here, and I'm going to hit active just like this. So then I'm going to hit active again, just like so. And now we have our subscription that's active. Now, if this is your first subscription you're creating, it's going to ask you to write a shortened version of your Roblox place that's going to be displayed for every subscription that you buy, which in this case for me, I named it Brawl's Tutorial Place. So that's what's going to show if I do buy the subscription. Okay, and finally, the last thing is our ID, which is right here. So I'm gonna click this copy button because this is going to be important for later. So now that we have our first subscription, let's go back to Roblox Studio so we can start implementing this. Now, I want to make a very quick disclaimer that you might see this where it says you can't create subscriptions, and that's because you need to be ID or phone verified to create subscriptions for your game. So my recommendation is to go to your Roblox account settings and add a phone number so that you can be phone verified, since in my opinion, that's the easier criteria to check off before you can start creating subscriptions. So I just wanted to address that first before we continued on with creating subscriptions. All right, so we're back inside Studio, and the first thing we need to be able to do is prompt the subscription to the player so that when they buy the subscription, it'll tell the server that we want to give the benefits to the player once they actually do buy the subscription. But that's going to be later in this episode. For right now, all we need to do is prompt the user the subscription. So we can do that through a local script somewhere in the Explorer. Let's say starter GUI. So I'm going to insert a local script like this. And first thing we're going to do is make reference to marketplace service, which is what we used inside of our game passes and dev products episodes. So we're going to say local marketplace service equals game:get service, open and close parentheses, marketplace service, just like that. And then we're also going to locate our local player by saying local player equals game.players.local player, just like that. And then finally, we're going to add in our subscription ID as a variable by saying local sub ID equals, and then we're going to paste in our ID that we copied, which looks like this. Now, what's interesting about this subscription ID is we actually need to wrap it around in quotations so that it's a string rather than a number, because it has this little XP dash right before the number. So now that we have all the information we need, let's make it so that if we wait about 5 seconds, then it's going to prompt the user the subscription to buy. So we're going to add a task.wait for about 5 seconds, and then we're going to say marketplace service : prompt subscription purchase, just like this. And we're going to pass in the player object, and then we're also going to pass in the subscription ID just like this. So this is how we prompt the user to buy the subscription. So if we go to the game, hit test and hit play, then what we should see in about 5 seconds is that the game is going to prompt us the subscription that we just created. So as you can see right here, we have our subscription over here that says VIP Lounge, and we're going to buy this for $2.99 every single month after we subscribe to it. So if we click on this, then that should give us all the benefits, but we obviously need to implement that ourselves first. But this is how we prompt the user to buy the subscription. Okay, now let's give benefits to the player once they actually do buy the subscription inside the game. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to insert a script inside of server script service just like this. And I'm going to rename this to subscription handler just like this. We're also going to delete this line of code right here. So what we're going to do is go back to our previous script with the local script, and we're going to select the first 3 references and we're going to paste it inside of here. But instead of referencing the local players, since this is a script, we're actually just going to reference the player's service by saying local players equals game get service players, just like this. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to write a function that basically checks the subscription status of the player with our subscription ID to make sure the player does have the subscription and it's currently active. And we're going to use this function for when the player joins the game, but also if they decide to change their subscription by buying the subscription in the game. I think it'll make more sense once I actually show you what the code looks like. But first, we're going to start with our function. So we're going to say local function check sub status, open and close parentheses, and we're going to pass in 2 parameters here. The first one is going to be the player, and then the second one is going to be the subscription ID. I'm going to say subscription ID so that it's not confused with our sub ID up here. And then we're going to hit enter just like this. So first thing we're going to do is use a function that Marketplace Service has that allows us to get information about the subscription status. So what we're going to do is actually wrap this in a p call because it could fail. So we're going to say local success, comma, response equals p call function, open close parentheses, enter. And then we're going to return Marketplace Service get subscription status async, open close parentheses. And we're going to first pass in the player, and then we're going to pass in the subscription ID, not to confuse it with the sub ID up here. So now let's just make sure this doesn't fail. So what we're going to do is say if not success, then we're going to make a warning by saying the sub status check wasn't successful, just to leave like a little warning message for us in case this actually doesn't work. So next thing we're going to do is basically check our response to see whether this new subscription status change was the player getting the subscription or if their subscription was removed. So the way we're going to do that is by saying if response, so the variable we just fetched back up here with get subscription status async, if response dot is subscribed, then here we're going to grant the benefits. But if this is not the case, then we're going to revoke the benefits because they no longer have the subscription. And so this is our basic check substatus function that we're going to use for 2 things. So if we drop 2 lines down here, we're going to say players.playerAdded connect. And then what we're going to do is create a function here, just really quickly, a player added function. So we're going to say local function player added, open and close parentheses, and we're going to pass in the player just like this. And I'm going to pass that in here for the player added event. So whenever we use player added, we're just simply going to call the check sub status function like this by first passing in the player and then the subscription ID, which is just going to be sub ID that we specified up here at the start of the script. So that's the first thing we're going to use for check sub status. And then the second way we're going to use check sub status is if the user has changed their subscription status through an event. And we're going to detect that by first creating a function and then using the event to then call that function. So basically what we're going to do here is create a function before player added or after, it doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is say local function on user sub changed, just like this. And then we're going to first pass in the player and then the subscription ID, just like this. And then we're basically going to check if the subscription that was changed aligns with our subscription up here, because a user can have many subscriptions across multiple Roblox games, and we need to make sure that this is the right subscription ID that has been changed that reflects this one up here. So what we're going to do is say if subscription ID equals sub ID, then we're going to say check sub status. We're going to pass in the player and then the subscription ID, just like that. And so we are now going to go down here and say players.user subscription status changed connect. And then we're going to pass in the on user sub changed function just like this, where it's automatically going to pass in the player and the subscription ID with these two parameters up here. So I'm hoping so far this is making sense to you, where we start with player added and it's going to check the subscription status as soon as they join into the game using the VIP door. And then it's going to be the user subscription status changed event that's basically going to detect when the player actually buys the subscription in the game. And then it's going to pass through up here by doing a validation check to make sure that this is the right subscription ID. And then we're going to call check substatus with the subscription ID. And so this is basically how we have the subscription handler setup going on here. But now let's actually make the VIP door with the benefits over here. So I'm just going to go to the game and we're going to make a VIP door really quickly. So I'm going to go to model and then insert a part right here. And I'm just going to drag this part around, scale it up just like this. I'm going to call this VIP door just like this. And let's make this like a very attractive color, like hot pink. And I think this is basically all we need for this VIP door. Let's make sure it's anchored. And now we basically have our VIP door that's right over here. So what we're going to do is go to the script, and I'm going to make reference to the VIP door by saying local VIP door equals game.workspace : wait for child VIP door, just like this. And now what we can do is, let's say this VIP door is here if the player has not bought the subscription. So in that case, if we were to revoke the benefits, then we're going to say VIP door.transparency equals 0. And we're also going to say VIP door.can collide is set equal to true, because this is going to make the VIP door visible and the player without the subscription will not be able to go through. But if the benefits are granted, then we're going to make the transparency of the VIP door to be 1, and the can collide of the VIP door is going to be set equal to false, just like this, so that it actually does open up if the subscription is bought. Okay, so if we now go to test and hit play, then what we should see is after about 5 seconds, then we should basically wait for the subscription thing to show up right over here, and then we're going to say subscribe. Okay, something seemed to have been wrong. Oh, okay, I see what the problem was. There was a typo. So instead of get subscription status async, it's actually get user subscription status async. That was a very small typo. My apologies on that. And one more thing I added was a return statement after we make the warning message, because there's no point to check the rest of the script if the P call was not successful. So that was another thing I added to it. So now if we go into the game and hit play, what we should see in about 5 seconds is the subscription that's about to show up on our screen. So the VIP lounge is shown right here for $2.99 a month. So if we buy it, then it's actually going to remove the VIP door so we can now access the VIP lounge. But in the event of when our subscription expires, then this VIP door is going to update in real time, and it's actually going to show the door again because our subscription has been deactivated. So that is basically how we make a subscription inside of Roblox Studio, and I hope you found this part to be very informative. So great, we have our first working subscription that is this VIP door right over here. But unfortunately, that's not the entire picture, and it actually doesn't work like intended, and I'll show you why. So what I'm going to do is go to test, and I'm going to run a local server with 2 players. So I'm going to show you like why this VIP door doesn't work as expected. Okay, so I loaded up a local server inside of the game to have 2 players playing at the same time. So for the second player, I'm actually going to X out of this subscription prompts right over here, just to show you what happens if the first player buys the VIP lounge subscription. So if I buy this, then it's actually going to make the door disappear for both players that are in the game. And obviously we don't want that. We want the door to disappear only for the player who bought the subscription. So we need to make sure that we have that taken care of. And I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay, so back to our script. Obviously we need to be able to do this through the local side, but how do we do this through the local side? Well, one thing we can do for sure is we can create a remote function that basically fetches information about whether the player actually is subscribed or not. And we can use that information to basically determine if the player's VIP door should be open or it shouldn't be open based on the new change that has happened to it. So here's what we're going to do. In replicated storage, we're going to insert a remote function, and we're going to call this remote function get user sub status, just like this. And then inside of our subscription handler, what we're going to do is first make reference to our remote function that we just created. So we're going to say local get user sub status equals game.replicated storage colon wait for child get user substatus, just like this. And what we're going to do is basically create a on server invoke function, probably somewhere down here. So we're going to say get user substatus dot on server invoke equals function open close parentheses. And by default, the first parameter is going to be the player that gets passed through. So what we're going to do here is basically take our code that we had up here with the get subscription status async, and we're just going to copy this and paste it down here. So for this user substatus, another thing we're going to do is actually pass in the subscription ID as well, and also replace this player variable with PLR because that's what we specified it as. So now that we have response, what we're basically going to do is first check if this was not successful. So I'm just going to go up here and copy the code that we had over here. So the sub status check wasn't successful for the client. Just to make this a little different, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to return response.isSubscribed back to the client when we invoke this get user sub status remote function. So what we're first going to do is go up here and take this reference with get user substatus, and we're going to go to our local script and we're going to make that reference up here with get user substatus, and then we're going to drop 2 lines down here. So now we're going to do everything before the task.wait so that there isn't a delay for whenever we're detecting these things with the subscriptions. So I'm just going to make a little bit of space up here. And the first thing we're going to do is make a function that basically hides the door on the local side if the player does have the subscription or if they don't have the subscription active. So what we're going to do is say local function hide door if player has sub open close parentheses, and then I'm just going to hit enter just like this. So what we're also going to do is go up here to our script. I'm going to take the VIP door reference and put it inside of our local script over here. And so now what we're going to do inside of this function is basically check if the player does have the VIP door subscription active through this remote function that we just created. So what we're going to do is say local player has sub equals get user sub status colon invoke server, just like this, and then we're gonna hit enter. Now we also need to specify the subscription ID by passing in sub ID just like this, and it's going to automatically pass in the player as the first argument for the sub status remote function. So then what we're gonna do is say if player has sub, then we're going to grant the benefits like we need to. And if the player doesn't have the subscription, then we're going to revoke the benefits like we did down here as well. So we're basically just gonna copy what we had up here with VIP door if they are subscribed, and we're going to grant them the benefits. And if they don't, then we're going to keep the door as is so that the player cannot go through the VIP door, and that is basically how we do it. So first thing we're going to do is check if the player already has the subscription as soon as they join into the game. So I'm just going to make a reference to this right over here, and we're also going to add a event that triggers when the user does change their subscription like we did inside of the subscription handler. So this is the event we're going to use after the player has bought a subscription. So this is going to take place in marketplace service that we have reference to right up here by saying marketplace service dot prompt subscription purchase finished colon connect open close parentheses, and we're going to pass in the hide door if player has sub function that we had up here for this hide door function. So this is basically the entire scripts that we need for the subscription. Now, what I can tell you about the subscription handler is that we can actually comment out a lot of things from this script that we created previously. So the first thing is the sub ID, then it's the VIP door, and then it's the entire check sub status function, and also the on user sub changed and the player added function as well. So the only thing we really need is this on server invoke that tells us if the player has this subscription or not, and it's going to return the result of whether the player does have the subscription. And if they do, then we can grant the benefits or revoke the benefits as we see fit for our local script. So if we now go into the game and hit play, then what we should see is that in about 5 seconds, when we're prompted to buy the VIP door, and if we do buy it, just like we see right over here, if we click subscribe, then it's going to get rid of the door. But if I go to the server, then the door is still over here because it was not changed for the server side. And so that is basically how we make this fix for this subscription that we created for the VIP door so that it doesn't affect every single player that's within the game. And I hope that this has made sense to you with how we've structured this entire script. So just to recap one more time, I'm going to hit stop. And if we go through our script here, so in 5 seconds, the script is going to prompt the user to buy the subscription. So that's great. Now, once the user has bought the subscription, so it's going to prompt the subscription purchase finished, and it's going to pass in this function hide door if player has sub. And it's also going to do it at the very start as well, just to make sure that the player actually does have the subscription when they join into the game. So it's going to invoke this remote function to get the subscription status of this subscription ID for the VIP door. So if we go inside of the script, then it's going to get the user subscription status async, and it's going to return whether the user actually is subscribed to this subscription. And so once we get that result, it's going to return true or false. So since the player does have the subscription, we're going to grant the benefits by hiding the door. But if they don't, then we're going to keep the door open because of it. And so that is basically how we make our VIP door script inside of this episode, and I hope you found this to be extremely, extremely useful. So if I were to just quickly make this handler script even more simple, I could just get rid of all of these comments that I have over here inside of our script. And I guess we also don't need the player's reference anymore as well. So this is the only thing that matters if you understand remote functions. This is basically all we need from the server side. But the local side is basically going to handle the rest in this case because the VIP door needs to be local to that specific player. And so I hope that this has kind of helped you understand how subscriptions work on the local side, but also on the server side too. That's not to say that everything we've coded in the subscription handler has been for nothing, because it's basically just a matter of knowing whether you want to have your script be on the local side or if you want your scripts to be on the server side. And so I think what we've coded up until this point has been pretty helpful in being able to understand that as well. And so that is just something I wanted to quickly address before we end off this video. And so I hope you're able to understand everything we've done up until this point, and you found this episode to be extremely helpful. So that's pretty much going to be it for this episode on subscriptions. Now, before you go, I want to quickly give a shout out to my very first Patreon member, PeanutBoy173. So if you like the work that I put out on my YouTube channel and you want to directly support me while also getting access to all of my scripts that I've been creating throughout the entirety of this advanced scripting tutorial guide, then I will leave a link to my Patreon page in the description of this video. You don't have to become a Patreon member to support me, but that would definitely help me out a lot, and I would appreciate it very much. So that's basically all I wanted to say for the end of this episode. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.